Well, Angela, we did it again.
We sure did.
But I just have 2 words. Don't panic.
Right, and don't rush.
Yes.
Is the other thing. We've had another hard freeze, and this one came after days and days of balmy weather.
Right.
And it kind of came in hard and then stayed with us a little longer than we wanted it to.
Exactly.
But now we have recovery to take
Yes,
care
we do. And you know, it's not overwhelming.
It's really not.
And you know, I think the plants most of them kind of like a little rest, a little nap.
Yeah. With some of the plants, it really is good for them.
Right.
You know, that idea of being set back by a freeze can sometimes trigger blooming.
Right.
In a lot of plants, including things like succulents and some of our great natives. So it's not all bad.
No.
But it is kind of hard to walk out your door and see a lot of brown in the yard. It's a little depressing.
Yeah, but you know, brown is a color.
It is a color. But we have to just remember that it's a reminder of what can happen, but
Right.
it's not a catastrophe.
Right.
And the fact that we really don't need to rush out to just get rid of it all right now, because we can set our plants back, and we can lose a lot of spring glory if we rush out there and take care of things.
Exactly. So a few products that you need to have on hand when you're out doing your winter recovery are, I think, first of all, your fungicides.
Fungicides, yes. And so you don't need this on all of your plants. But
Right.
you need this on the ones that were very herbaceous and got a little mushy
Yeah.
when they froze back. You know, we've had some dry weather, so they're starting to dry out already, but even then we can have some issues. So you want to remove all of that mushy foliage. You don't want to cut back too terribly hard either.
Right.
Just remove the stuff that's unsightly. And then we do want to spray with a good fungicide. We have a couple of here, Garden Foss, and then we have the liquid copper.
Right.
Liquid copper you want to keep on the foliage. You don't want to drench around the soil with it because it can build up in your soil. But both of these are great antifungals. I think one kind of mistake we make is that we get out there and do our first cleanup and spray and then kind of go on from there.
Right.
When really a lot of plants, especially the super mushy ones, they benefit from getting a second spray about 10 days to 2 weeks later.
And you're talking about the bulbs, the crinums, the gingers, the bananas.
Right. Yes.
When you say super mushy.
That's right.
Yes.
Because you cut them back, they do have that mushy. They still have a little bit of damage, so catching them 2 times usually is enough to prevent any problems going on for the rest of the year.
Right. And then we need to do a little oomph to the soil as well.
Yeah, we want to get biology going again, give them a little bit of support, and also just, you know, that we use our EM1 for that.
Right.
We really call it a probiotic for the soil. So it's going to kind of get everything up and going again, get both leaf biology and soil biology kicked in again. You can use it as a foliar. You can also use it as a drench around your plants. If you have something that's super damaged, that's a really good idea, or something you're kind of worried about. It's a good idea to do a drench with the EM1, followed up by your spring fertilizer.
Right, and we don't want to push them too hard at this point.
No, we really don't.
No, we want to work on the soil, work on the roots, work on recovery.
Right, and even when we do start fertilizing, we don't want to use anything that is immediately available.
Correct.
The water-soluble synthetic fertilizers. Use something that's slow release so that it's going to work with the soil biology, release slowly, be on demand for your plants rather than forcing new growth.
So as you're going through cutting back, cleaning up, putting down some of the food complete at this moment is perfect.
It's perfect because it's going to take a couple of weeks for, like I say, soil biology to work with it and start breaking it down and making it available. And then these nutrients are available the same way the natural nutrients are available to your plants. It won't push that excess growth because they're still a little stressed out. They need a little bit of chance to kind of catch their breath before we start demanding that they perform again.
Exactly. And then we can do a little top dress, half an inch to an inch on top of that with the compost. Again, revitalization, replenishing.
Right, just getting everything ready.
And water in with the EM1.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, let's take a look at the bed and see what we need to prune. So this is a great example right here. So this is our pomegranate.
Right.
So before we go crazy with the pruners, we want to do a little scratch test.
Correct.
To see the vitality in the stems and branches that are here, see what's not damaged.
And we may not have any dieback. It could just be the foliar damage, and so we need to find out if we have dieback, and if we do, where is it? So the easiest way to do that is with a scratch test. So either with the side of your pruners or with your thumb, you can get up into this and you can just scratch down, and you just want to get past the cambium, and we're just trying to reveal, do we have green? And here we do. So we have healthy tissue, we have green cambium layer that we can see there, and we know that at least up to here we have healthy wood. So my instinct tells me that this is probably okay, that we don't have any tip dieback at all, that we just lost our foliage. All we need to do is just wait. Nature's going to push a lot of this brown foliage off, and what doesn't, we can lightly prune later. But right now, I would wait and see on this one.
Absolutely.
I wouldn't do anything yet.
And you know, you spoke about this being a bright green.
Right.
You might see an olive or a khaki green. That is not good good layer if it's a dark color.
Correct, if it's dark, yeah. But we look for this. This is just a sign of life. You know, that bright vitality. It's still in the structure of the plant itself. So there's no need to rush this. And lots of woody perennials in our garden are going to be exactly like this.
Exactly, yeah. So Angela, here's a big stand of crinums that we had.
Yes.
And now you mentioned, and yes, we've been dry for a few days, so these aren't as mushy as they were right after the freeze. But to clean these up, what we need to be mindful of, is not to cut into the neck of the bulb.
Correct, yes. So you can kind of grab the foliage just as you are, like a ponytail. Then make sure that you're not grasping the top of the bulb itself, the neck of the bulb that's above the soil. And for this, pruners like you have that are sort of that scissor shape, or even just a pair of household scissors, is probably the best thing to clean that foliage up with. Just the blades of that cut it better than a pair of pruners does. And even here, you know, a lot of this, we can cut back the majority of it. That can go in the compost pile. And the few remaining parts of that, the crinum is going to come out. New foliage will replace that. And some of that older foliage will just fall off around the base of the plant.
You can see it's already trying to give you a little look.
Little green popping up already.
Right there.
Yep.
Yep.
And we love our crinums. They're one of the staples of our Houston area gardens, but they do have a tendency. But I've never lost one to a freeze, not even when we were at 14 degrees. Yep.
He's never met a crinum that died.
Yes. Right. Yep. That's one of the reasons we like them. They're dependable, beautiful colors, nice foliage year round.
And you know, easy to clean too. Yep. Really super easy. You just don't want to cut into the bulb.
Correct. That's exactly right. Not down into that neck. Just leave it a little tuft of that ponytail of the dried foliage.
Yeah.
And then stand back, get your fungicide, spray these real well. And because there is some dead foliage there, it can still harbor a few of the fungi. So it's just catching it with that second spray 10 days to 2 weeks later is usually sufficient for them. Okay, well here's another case, Bev, where our Dianthus, the tops have kind of died back a little bit, but we really have a lot of green underneath. So we don't want to get too aggressive here. We want to snip off the obviously dead stems, but we don't want to cut deeply into this plant because we will set it back from any bloom that it's going to have.
That's why I love these snips.
I do. Those
are
perfect.
They just get right down in here.
Has that scissor tip. Doesn't have the same mechanism as a regular pruner, and it gives it a really good scissor cut.
I mean, they look beautiful. Just getting that little bit of burn.
Yep, just that tip burn's all that needs to come off of that one.
So here's some of our woody perennials, and this salvia in particular is, you know, Henry Dulberg.
Right.
You can't beat this guy.
Good garden staple.
Look, Angela, it's already budded out on this stem right here, and the rest of it. So I'll cut it back to that.
Yeah, back to that top bud, and you're in good shape. So all of the basal growth on this one is nice and healthy. Really no reason to get too radical cutting this one back. Like I say, just look for your first leaf node and snip it there. See, and look how good that looks now.
It's beautiful.
It just looks wonderful. That is ready to grow.
So another one that's very oftentimes confusing for people when to cut and how to cut are the ornamental grasses.
Right.
Now this is one of my favorites, the Northwind panicum. I love the structure of this. And as you can see, the structure is still there. It's still a beautiful plant.
That's one of the things we want grasses to give us in the winter, is that sort of silhouette that's so lacy and pretty and moves in the wind. So for me, that's not unattractive at all. I like that.
I do too. So we need to wait till we see the new growth emergent. It's too soon
Too soon for your grasses, that's right.
And we never want to cut them flat.
Right.
You want to cut them on a mound.
Yeah,
you don't want to rot that crown.
Right, and don't want them to look like the end of a broom. You know,
yes.
Still give them some shape, and like you say, when you see the green stems coming back out is the time to prune. But until then, just appreciate their winter color.
It's a dried arrangement. So remember, don't panic.
Take a deep breath.
And spring is just around the corner.